Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. Start off with my schedule. This weekend, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona at Stand Up Live, right downtown. That's March 15th to the 17th. Next week, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Improv, March 22nd through the 24th. And then March 29th, I'm in Wichita, Kansas at the Century 2 or Century 11. I don't know what it's called because it's just two lines. So it could be 2, could be 11 in Roman numerals. I don't know. The Century with the two lines behind it, theater in Wichita, Kansas. And March 30th, I'm in Evansville, Indiana at the Victory Theater. Both those shows, I will have the one mailman with me. And then the first 2 weeks of April, I'm in Houston, Texas at the Improv. And then, let me see, just found out April 16th, I'll be back in Nashville with Kid Rock for the, he does a big comedy show benefiting the, I don't know if it's the fallen soldiers or soldiers, something military. But I was in Nashville last week, and the booker saw me and asked me to do it. So I'll be back out there at the Ryman Auditorium with Kid Rock and a bunch of other funny comedians on April 16th. Then April 19th to the 21st, I'm in Greenville, South Carolina at the Comedy Zone. And then April 26th to the 28th, I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Improv. So that's where I'm at the next 2 months. Last week, I was in Nashville, one of my favorite cities in the country. So I've been doing these sketches with that one mailman on the internet, you know, hey, stank a booty dude. And he went up. Let me tell you something. I've seen a lot of comedians go on stage, and I don't know if I've seen a lot of people like in the beginning. I don't know if it's their first time on stage, but in the beginning. But to be there to see him go up pretty much the first time in front of a captive audience. And the first night, he did 5 minutes. And then the rest of the weekend, and we had 7 shows, he did 10 minutes every night. And when somebody just has the it factor, he's got it. Still working on his act, still coming around, but he definitely has a stage presence. He's not nervous up there. He's paced. You would think he's been doing it for like a year or so. But he's got something. So we got done with this weekend. I said, okay, I'm going to start putting him on more shows with me, just so, you know, I guess it's kind of my way of paying it forward a little bit, but it's also like I've seen that to be the trend with comedians that take off. There was Joe Coy used to open up for Chelsea Handler. Cat Williams used to open up for Damon Wayans Sr. I think Chris D'Elia and Joe Coy have a history of, I don't know who opened up for who. I think D'Elia used to open up for Joe Coy. It's just kind of like this progression you see with people that get with a good headliner and then they kind of take off and do their own thing. So, I don't know. I just saw something in him. And he's a Cincinnati guy. We're both from like same part of Cincy, similar backgrounds, broke white dudes growing up. And yeah, he's actually real mailman. He actually says one of the funniest things, and I told him to put this in his act. I said, yo, how'd you become a mailman? He said, well, shit, man, I was just walking around Price Hill for nothing. Might as well get paid for it. It's like, that made the most sense to me. So, yeah, he's on his way, man. He's on his way. So anything I can do to help facilitate and push him forward. I know he's in Atlanta this weekend, and then he's in Cincinnati March 24th. So here I am pumping his shows now, too. And he's going to be with me the 29th and 30th in Wichita and Evansville, Indiana. Well, speaking of comedians, last week I was talking about Donell Rollins, and it's so funny with podcasts and people pulling clips from your podcast and posting it. Somehow Donell got wind of it, And I got a call this weekend in Nashville from Donell Rollins, and he was telling me, like, Gary, I didn't shit on you. That's not my intention. That's not what I do. And it was cool to have, like, him reach out. And here's my thing, and it's what I told Donell. I said it never was a beef, and I never take stuff personal if people bring me up on somebody else's podcast or on a talk show or just talking shit in general. I never take it personal because that's the business we're in, is stand-up. And if your name's coming up, good or bad, that's a good thing because then people are talking about you. If your name never comes up in any conversation, then that says a lot about your stand-up. So, but it was cool. He reached out, told me what he was thinking. He's not that type of dude. He doesn't shit on people. Apologize if I took it the wrong way, but it was cool because he didn't have to reach out. Still trying to figure out how he got my cell because I never gave it to him. So somebody's out there giving out my cell number. So that was confusing, but it was cool for him to reach out, and we talked for about 20 minutes, chopped it up about other things once we was done with the quote unquote apology. But it was cool. Like I said, I didn't hold anything against Donell. And honestly, I used it as a time to promote my special on Amazon Prime and his special on Netflix. And it's so funny, like when I told people last week, hey, watch Donell Rollins and then watch mine and tell me who you think is funnier. Obviously, people are going to say mine's funnier that are my fans. So the comments on my page was completely stacked in my favor. As if Donell would have said on his page, it would have been stacked in his favor. So I'm not stupid. So of course I got all the my special was funnier. But if Donell would have done his page, he would have got the same reaction. So and I told him this on the phone. I go, dude, I just took it as a moment to honestly, I said, oh, this is the way I can promote my special and your special. And it's like almost like it's a fake beef, similar to what me and Michael Blackson's done our whole career. That's a friend of mine, but we'll come up with these beefs and people really think we're serious, and it's all fake, all of it. I don't have to beef with nobody. Now, I guess the one person who feels like I have a beef with her is Monique, because I don't know, a couple weeks ago I commented on her and her husband of how they'll say, hey, my sweet babies, and they'll say, we love you. And then they'll cut your feet off from under you and come up with the darkest shit that they can find on you, and then bring it up. And they bring me up. They do an Instagram Live. They bring me up, and they did exactly what I said they do. That's the funny part. I was like, you just did what I said you do. You said, and to Gary Owens, brother Gary. And Monique's husband, he was sitting there just saying, you brought Monique up. You feel the need to keep bringing her name up. But this is what podcasts are for. This is what comedians do. If you put stuff out there, we're going to talk about it. That's what we do. And you're not above getting talked about. And he tried to act like I don't have the accolades Monique has, which is 100% accurate. I don't have an Oscar. She does. But when then it's just so funny to me because she goes, and brother Gary, you said something about abortion, and Monique took off her glasses. She goes, what? What? It was a joke. I didn't say you said somebody had an abortion. I said you'll find dark shit about people and bring it up, i.e., we heard you had an abortion last year. Completely fabricated, complete joke. You're not above getting talked about. You're not above getting jonesed on or joked about or imitated. That's the thing. And at what point do you just start having fun with this stuff? The reason we're comedians is we take the dark shit and make it light. But for some reason, Monique and her husband, they just want to be, I don't know, they want to be mad. I don't know if they want to be just, I don't get it. I don't get it. They take everything so serious and so personal. And I've said numerous times, years ago when I brought that up, my only thing I said about Monique really was I didn't like how she compared Will Packer to Harvey Weinstein. And since then I've been like, I don't badmouth her. I don't call her out her name. I don't do none of that. I just said I didn't agree with that. But then for some reason, when you brought my name up, you said Will Packer, and you brought up these trailers burning, and you brought up Tyler Perry, and you asked me, did I listen? I don't have no say in that. I don't know Tyler like that. I don't know your beef with Tyler. I don't know your beef with Oprah. But I know Will Packer. I've done, 4 movies with him. And he's a friend of mine. When I'm in Tampa or Atlanta or LA, he comes to my shows. We hang out. We go to the Bengals-Buccaneers game. So that's somebody I can talk about. That's my friend. So I was kind of defending my friend. But the burning trailer, I go, I don't know about that. I went on set. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. So, it's just at what point do you be like, hey, this guy's jonesing on us a little bit. Jones back. It ain't got to be so serious. But, you guys just, whoa. You literally took what you knew was a joke, and I don't know if you watched what I said or somebody related to you secondhand, but if you go back and watch what I said, you'll see I was completely imitating you guys. And then you did what I said you do. And I knew this was coming. I knew it when you said, maybe if you spend less time on my black woman and you spent more time focusing on your black woman, you wouldn't be divorced. Or maybe focus on your ex-wife. And I was like, well, here's the thing. I did spend a lot of time with my ex-wife. That's why I wanted the divorce. I spent a lot of time with her. And I said, you know what? I don't want to deal with this shit no more. So I want a divorce. But the fact, and then, oh my God. And then Monique's husband said, I'm a guest. And I become too comfortable with my guest pass into, I guess, black people. So I guess Monique and her husband, they are now the gatekeepers and they speak for all black people. I'm just going, okay. That makes you feel better. Roll with it. And they're probably going to talk about this. But you see, I'm smiling. I'm laughing. It ain't that serious. I don't know, man. My shit comes up. People bag on me. Corey Holcomb brought me up years ago on 5150. I've sat down and talked to Pierre about our differences in the past. But at no point am I ever just going in on people and really trying to cancel them or anything else. And, I've said this numerous times, but the problem is with now as how podcasts are and people having guests on podcasts and there's so much information out there, it's like when people go on, either you got to agree with 100% of what they say or 0% of what they say. But you can't say, I agree with that, but not with that. And that's the issue we got right now. Like there's some things Monique says, I'm like, okay, I agree with that. There's some things she says I don't. And I've spoke on both. So if you really watch what I'm saying, you'll see there's been numerous times I've said I agree with what she said. And the reason I speak on her is because she's relevant. She's relevant as a stand-up. She's relevant in the podcast community. She's relevant in the stand-up community. That's why I bring her up. So instead of getting upset, say, oh, whatever we're doing something right because people are talking about us. So it's not always people attacking. We can disagree with you and we can make fun of you. You're not above that. Neither am I. So, but I loved how you did exactly what I said you was going to do. And man, it's funny. It's like watching a stand-up sometimes and I'll see them telling a joke and I'll know the punchline's coming. I'll be like, it's weird. I have like a sixth sense when it comes to stand-up because I do it so much. But sometimes I'll see a comedian, I'll be like, that's what he about to do this with this punchline. He about to go here. He's about to go here. And then they'll do it. And sometimes, this is when I know somebody's got something or the really good comedians, you won't see that punchline coming at all. You'll be like, how the hell did they come up with that? But when Monique's husband, when he brought up I knew they were going to bring up race, which I haven't. I never said black Monique or her black husband. I've never said anything like that. I've said Monique, and that's it. I knew it. I said they're gonna bring up my black wife and how I'm a guest in the black community, and it's so much emphasis on it. Maybe if you would focus less on my black wife and focus more on your black wife, or excuse me, your ex-wife, maybe you wouldn't be divorced. And I'm not quoting that. I didn't watch it over and over again, but like I said, people talk about you, people send it to you, people were sending it to me left or right. So I watched the part that they talked about me, and I was like, oh my God, I saw that coming, baby. I saw it. So let me just reiterate. Monique's husband's name, Sydney? Sydney. Yes, I did spend a lot of time with my ex-black wife, and that's why I wanted the divorce. So there you go. I did put the work in. So anyways, so enough about that. So in sad news, selfishly, as we're doing this podcast, filming it on today is Thursday, March 14th. Free agency's going nuts in the NFL. The Bengals keep teasing Bengal fans like something's coming. Something's coming. And we waiting. And every Cincinnati Bengals fans on the planet, I don't know how they could do this, but we're all hoping Justin Jefferson comes to Cincy. Could you imagine Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson on the set? Oh, we got to get some line. We got to protect Joe. We got to get one or two of those. But they keep teasing us, and I'm going nuts because I'm not seeing it on ESPN. I'm not seeing it on NFL Network. I'm not seeing it on Fox Sports. I'm not seeing it anywhere except on social media. It seems to be a groundswell. And then Jamar Chase teases us like it's going to be a crazy story once it's all written. I'm going, what the fuck? What is the story, man? So as I'm here today, March 14th, nothing's happened. But hopefully when I come back next week, we'll have some news. That will be, oh, my God. And Minnesota, like, they ain't got no quarterback right now. If I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm like, let me get out of here. But, you know, he's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL, so he's going to demand a lot of money. Just so many moving parts in free agency right now. I was so sad that my boy Joe Mixon left Cincinnati. I was like, man, took a pay cut last year. And that's the business of football. But as I'm sitting here like down and out, all of a sudden he got picked up by the Texans. I went, what? It's like he's following me. It's like the brothers follow me. So we do an all-white party every year in Cincinnati because his birthday is July 24th. My birthday is July 26th. So I already texted him. I said, yo, we moving the party to Houston this year, baby. We do it right the day before that. Well, 2 days before they got a report for training camp. So anybody in Houston listen to this, promoters, I don't know where we're going to have it. Somewhere big. But the all-white party has now moved to H-Town, baby. I don't know. Just got to get Bum B behind it, and then maybe Drake will show up like he did at the rodeo this weekend. But Joe just sent a heartfelt message to the city of Cincinnati. And I remember when they drafted Joe Mixon. And he had the incident at Oklahoma his freshman year. I don't need to get into it. We all know what it was. And then he plays 3 years at Oklahoma, gets in absolutely no trouble. Wasn't in any trouble before that incident. It was just something happened. And not saying it was right, but still, we all do dumb shit at 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. And I remember when he got drafted to Cincinnati, like people was like, we're not going to go to games. We are, they've lost a fan. And I'm just like, you guys are you're so full of shit. You ain't going nowhere. I said, soon as he runs his first touchdown in, all that stuff's gone away. Same thing with Jamar Chase when they drafted Jamar Chase a couple years ago. And it was the big debate, Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase, because we knew Joe Burrow needed an offensive line. But when he picked him, I remember people texting me, oh, what the fuck, what the Bengals doing, man? Why would they not get a lineman? And I was like, relax. As soon as Jamar Chase goes for 3 touchdowns and 150 yards in one game, you're going to forget all about the offensive line. You'll be like, we made a good pickup. And both instances, both those things happened. Jamar ended up being one of the best receivers in the NFL. We forgot all about that, so that was a good pick. And Joe comes to Cincinnati and just completely like ingrains himself in the community. He's always at high school football games, taking pictures, got his foundation going. He's just a pillar in the community now. And to the fact that it's funny, he got drafted, a lot of people didn't want him. And now that they didn't re-sign him, people were brokenhearted. Because when you meet him, I mean, you cannot not like Joe. So it's a sad day in Cincinnati that Joe Mixon left. But I'm glad he landed in Houston. He's landed on a good team. God, can you imagine you go from Joe Burrow to C.J. Stroud? I'm like, man, talk about lucky. Whew. So, anyways, I was watching and all the other free agent moves too. It's so ridiculous. Even as me record right now, as soon as I get done, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta. I'd like to know his agent. That guy's made like $500 million since he's been in NFL, and he's won one playoff game. I'm like, and that's where you make your money. And how about Joe Flacco? Sitting on the couch last year, balls out for Cleveland for half the season. Now he got a 1-year deal with Indianapolis. I'm like, this guy just resurrected his career. Saquon Barkley goes to the Eagles. I know. Jason Kelsey. I know he's pissed. He retired too early. I'm like, and the funny thing is, all these teams are making all these moves, right? Kansas City is just chilling because they're the champs. And it's funny because the two teams that I've seen chilling the most, Kansas City, they re-signed Jones, which is big, but and Dallas is chilling like they won the chip. I'm like, Dallas ain't done nothing, but Kansas City don't need to do nothing. As long as you got Kelsey, Mahomes, and you got that defense, you're gonna be all right. They don't need to break the bank on a receiver. But I get nervous though because when I was heard about Justin Jefferson in Cincinnati, I also heard about him going to Kansas City. I was like, I don't want that. Ain't nobody want that. So just keep if Justin Jefferson doesn't come to Cincy, keep him in the NFC, please. You don't need to come AFC stack, bro. Just stay over there unless you're coming to Cincinnati. But stay in the NFC. Got a better chance of going 10-7 and making the playoffs than you do in the AFC. Russell Wilson's going to Pittsburgh. Forgot about that. I know Sierra's ecstatic. It's like, so I don't know. Are they going to get Seattle Russ? Or are they going to get Denver Russ? God. But it's funny because Denver just cut him. They still got to pay him like $80 million. And they was like, no, let's just start over. Whatever. So yeah, free agency's fun. It's the best time of year to be a football fan. This is so much better than the draft. The draft is cool, but free agency's the best in the offseason. It's just the best because there's so many moving parts and all this money getting thrown around, and you got all these broke people mad. Anyway, if you could pay me $5 million, I'd take that hit. Yeah, but you can't because you suck. So stop saying shit like that. God, it's always broke people too. You never see like people with money complaining about a player's salary. Because let me tell you something. Baseball, basketball, football, hockey, boxing, UFC, they earn every dime that they get. Because what they can do is what we can't, and they entertain us, and they take us away from our day-to-day life, and they give us a form of entertainment. It's just a complete escape. I always tell people, no matter what's going on in my life, during football season, on Sunday, when the Bengals play, everything's cool in my world. And then if they win, I got a great week ahead of me. I'm watching ESPN every day. And when they lose, I ain't turning shit on. But if I'm going to get bad news, I want it the week the Bengals win. Because I can handle it. You know what I mean? Gary, you got cancer. All right, well, is it terminal? All right, well, it ain't that bad. I'll just go to chemo. I'm good. I'm losing my hair anyways. You know, I just lose it faster. It's cool, man. It'll grow back. You know, if they lose, oh, God. Gary got cancer. It's skin. It's a mole. Don't worry about it. We just got to singe it off. Oh, okay. Because I thought I was on my deathbed. But anyways, so there was something disturbing I saw on the internet this week. And when I went to go record today, I found out that the story was not what I thought. I don't know if you saw this video of two girls fighting in St. Louis, and one girl's a big black girl, and I got to bring up race because that's what's been talked about the whole time. But she beats up a white girl, and you can see, and then she takes her head and just bashes it on the ground, and now the girl's in critical condition, and now they're saying they might go after the girl that beat her up. I don't know if they're going to go after murder charges or whatever. But when I watched it, it's been all over. So obviously it came across my feed, and I watched it. And it's only about 15 seconds, but the black girl takes the white girl, and they're fighting, and then they get into some wrestling move, and they fall to the ground, and the black girl just takes her head and starts slamming it in the concrete, boom, 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 and then the white girl just started convulsing real bad, right? And then you see all these other side scuffles happening all over, and it's disturbing to watch. But when you watch it, it wasn't somebody getting jumped. Nobody was going behind somebody's back. I was like, okay, there's a backstory here. These girls met up to fight. It wasn't like the white girl got jumped. She didn't get sucker punched. She didn't get hit from behind. They squared up. They were talking a little shit, and then they started going at it. And the black girl beat her up. And yeah, it was awful. It was terrible to see. I hope she makes it through. But this just goes back to it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Getting in fights, man. And then kind of find out, I guess they had fought the day before. I guess this is a history, and the white girl was the one that was saying, hey, let's meet up. I think her name's Kaylee, because they're underage. They can't give their full names out. So yeah, the white girl that is in critical, her name's Kaylee, and they won't release the black girl's name, but I guess it was in St. Louis, and they met after school, off school grounds, and so this is one of those, they probably met up. Everybody knew there was going to be a fight that day, and I think everybody's been to high school. At some point, junior high school, we've all had those days where we heard it's going down tonight between two people, guy, girl, girl, guy, and I just think I'm so glad I got in a fight in 5th grade, and I think anything before 10 doesn't really count. I got in a fight in 5th grade. But I remember when I got done with the fight at recess, I was thinking, I won the fight, but I remember thinking the whole time I'm fighting this kid, I kept looking around. Luckily, I was at a white school, so nobody else jumped in. It's one thing about black people getting a fight. 9 out of 10, there's going to be if there's a bunch of people, there'll probably be other people jumping in. You go to a white school, white guys, we kind of just, it's one-on-one, and then everybody backs up. Like, no, it's fair. It's Johnny and Chris. No, don't jump in, it's Johnny. And then Chris's friends, no, bro. And then, so nobody else jumped in. But I remember when I got in that fight, I was thinking, man, I was new to this school, and I was thinking, am I about to get jumped the whole time? And didn't happen. Ended up becoming friends with the kid later. Wasn't no big deal. But when I was in 9th grade, I saw a fight off school grounds, and it made me realize, I'm not getting in fights, because I think when you get in a fight, you always think you're going to be the one beating somebody's ass. I've always looked at it like, what if I get my ass beat? So I'll never forget. I grew up in a small town, Oxford, Ohio. And all the teenage kids there was a Burger King and a Wendy's connected to each other in our little town. And you either hung out at Burger King or Wendy's, right? I'm in Wendy's. There's a big front window. I see these two guys, and I know them both. They were from different high schools, but other teenage kids would come because you could walk around my hometown, and there was college girls everywhere. So when you're looking at boys between the ages like 15 and 18, and all these college girls are between the ages of 18 and 21 walking around, it was the place to go, I guess. So I'm sitting in front of Wendy's, and I see these two guys that I knew. I guess everybody knew but me they were meeting up to fight, and I didn't know. They meet up, and they're going at it. And it was, a street fight, 30 seconds is a long freaking time. They're just throwing haymaker, do. Neither of them's getting the best of anybody. And then the one guy, similar to what happened in St. Louis with this Kaylee young lady. He like did some slam. He picked the guy up and slammed him. And when he slammed him, his head hit the back of the concrete. And the guy just went limp. And this guy, to his credit, didn't hit him anymore. But he did stand over him. And he was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hamilton High, baby. Hamilton High. And he stood over him. He flexed and was like, whoa! I was like, what the fuck just happened? And then the other guy that got knocked out, it's funny now because he's okay, but he's out, right? And then his girlfriend, now she's screaming and crying over. She lifts him up. She doesn't realize his head's limp. So then she drops him back down. His head hit the concrete again. I'm going, what are you doing? And then he comes to, and he doesn't know where he's at, and he's just kind of waking up. And by now, there's like 40 people around him, and I'm one of the 40. I'm just like a little ninth grader looking. I'm like, and then he goes, he just didn't know where he was, and he started crying, and he pissed himself. And it was just, it just kept coming. It was so much piss. It was just like, shh. It just kept expanding. And I remember thinking, holy shit, that's the most piss I've ever seen in my life. He had these blue jeans on, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I'm going, oh, man, I feel bad for that dude. Because I'm like, one, he just got his ass whooped, and he pissed himself, and he got his ass whooped in front of his girl. It was all bad for this guy. And then it was crazy because the guy played sports, and he went to a different high school that I went to, but I'd see him all the time. I saw him playing baseball. I saw him playing football. I saw him playing basketball and wrestling. I just saw him at all these sporting events. And he, a couple of years go by, people forget about it. But every time I saw that dude, I just thought of the piss and him crying. It was just, I think it's still going to this day. I was like, I couldn't get that visual out of my head of this dude pissing himself. It's just I'm glad I saw that fight in ninth grade because I said I never want to be that guy. And here's the thing. I saw two guys that were pretty even when the fight went down. But the other guy just happened to pick him up, and the way it just happened, it was a perfect slam. If it's on grass, the fight's still going. But he hit him on the concrete and then knocked him out. And I'll tell you what, to the other guy's credit, he didn't keep hitting him. He did do the Hamilton High, baby, but he didn't keep busting his ass. And it just, when I saw that, I said, you know what? I never want to be a guy pissing myself. And I swear I've walked away from so many disagreements, so many things that could have went left in my life. Even when I was in the military, I was like, I don't want to get no bar. I got hit over the head. Okay, I'll give you a couple fight stories real quick since we're on this. I got hit over the head with a beer bottle when I was in the Navy. In D.C., there was a military bar called the Crazy Horse. And that's where all the Marine, Army, Navy guys went because it was 18 and over. So we can get in. I'm 18, 19 years old. Can't drink, but I'm drinking. We went there because we could drink. You got a military ID. You just find somebody that's 21. You used to give it to them. We all looked alike. We all had like the high top fade, and everybody's young. So, shit, I got into one bar in Anniston, Alabama, with a black guy ID. I was like, there you go. I remember they looked at it like, Jamal Tingley? Yeah. Got in. So, anyways, I was in D.C., this bar called the Crazy Horse. Big bar fight breaks out. And like I said, I'm not in it. I'm not doing nothing. I'm kind of not even facing the fight at this point. I'm facing the other way, and I heard a dunk, and I was like, the hell was that? And then I went like this, and when I pulled my hand away, my hand was red. And I went, what the And then the blood just started gushing. It looked like I got fucked up. And I'm going, what the hell? So I run to the bathroom. This is when them bars just had paper towels. So I'm wetting paper towels trying to get it. But now the blood's over my shirt. My boy's freaking out. They think I got my ass whooped. And we go to the base. We go to the military hospital. They stitch me up. I still got the scars right here. 4 stitches maybe, something like that. I still don't know what really happened. The next day, one of the guys came to my barracks. He goes, "You all right?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, that was crazy last night." I said, "What happened?" I still didn't know. He said the fight was going on, and somebody took a beer bottle and came across, and they go, "I didn't think they meant to hit you, Gary. You just were sitting there, and they hit you." And they go, "I don't even think the bottle broke, though, because I guess they hit me with the base, and it just, donk, hit me clean." And they said the funny part was, you get hit over the head with a beer bottle, and since I didn't see it coming, I didn't know what happened, I didn't react, and I didn't get knocked out, so I just kind of went, and then the blood came. And so my buddy goes, "Dude, the guy that hit you, though, he just disappeared back into the crowd." And then I ran it back in my head. I go, "Wait a minute. If I got a beer bottle and I hit a guy on the head and he doesn't do shit, yeah, I'm getting away from that dude." Like, what? First of all, what kind of drugs is he on? Or this is best motherfucker in D.C. So there's still a guy out there probably telling the story. "Man, one time I was at a bar fighting a crazy horse and I hit this guy with a beer bottle. He didn't do shit. He didn't budge." That blood, it looked like I got shot 16 times in the head. There was so much blood because I guess it's like it got me on my hairline. And I guess that's a sensitive area where the blood comes out. At least that's what the doctor told me. And then, but to this day, I was like, I wonder who that guy was. Being a stand-up, I meet so many people, and they'll come up to me and tell me a story where they met me when I was in the military. They met me back in the day, and never met that guy. He probably doesn't know who I am. I wasn't a stand-up then, but I never met that guy that hit me with the beer bottle. So that's an instance. And then I'm trying to think. Maybe, you know what? This next fight too. Maybe I just got a hard head. Maybe that's what it is. Like, I can't fight, but I can take a punch. I've told this story on stage before. It's so funny. I was in Detroit, Michigan. I got a show. I go to this place called Lyceum. I think it was Lyceum after my show. And that club was always jumping. And I go upstairs to the VIP area. And as soon as I walked upstairs, these 3 girls was like, Gary Owen, we get a pic? Yeah, get a pic with these girls. And then I go to the bar. And I got my buddy Reggie and his wife with me. So I'm facing the bar, and I bought 3 drinks. And I'll never forget, the bartender was like $125. I said, "God damn, how much are the drinks here?" He goes, "No, those girls said you were buying their drinks." Without even looking back at the girls, I looked at the bartender and I said, "Oh, I ain't buying no bitches drinks here tonight." And all I heard was I turned around, "Who you calling a bitch?" And they just started, it just went from 0 to 100 so fast because I guess they told the bartender I was buying their drinks. I don't know. It was so much chaos. Not chaos, but it was a club. It was loud. And I'm painting the picture like I walked in, took the picture, went straight to the bar, and nobody was there. It was packed. I was standing there for a few minutes trying to get the bartender's attention. So it was a little chaotic in there. And all of a sudden, I'm getting yelled at by all these girls. I don't know who they are. And I'm sitting trying to explain myself. I said, "No, I ain't call you bitches personally. I said bitches like per se, like bitches," right? As I'm explaining to these girls that I didn't call them a bitch, I'm getting punched from over the girls. And I don't know where these punches are coming from. And it wasn't from one dude. I was getting tagged, right? So I remember I put my head down, and I was getting hit on the top of the head, right? And at some point, somebody must have caught me in the cheek too. But I remember I just went, I remember I hit my buddy Reggie. It happened so fast. My buddy Reggie never turned around. He still faced the bar. He never saw me get hit. I just hit him. I go, "Let's go, man. This place is whack." So we leave Lyceum. Now I'm at his truck. We get in. I take down and I'm looking in the rearview mirror. I'm looking at my lip. I'm looking to make sure I ain't dotted up because this was like Friday or Saturday night. Monday morning, I started working on House of Pain, the sitcom. And I said, "Man, I can't show up my first day of work dotted up with black eyes and shit." So I was more worried about my face, than I was worried about getting beat up or getting retribution or anything. I was just like, okay. All of a sudden, his wife came running, and she's like laughing and crying at the same time. I go, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" She goes, "Oh my God, that was the scariest and funniest shit I've ever seen in my life." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You were getting hit and still talking at the same time. So you were like, I ain't calling by a bitch. So they said you were straight trying to explain yourself and getting hit by these 2 or 3 dudes at the same time. And then it happened so fast, you didn't fight back, and you just hit Reggie. Let's go, man. This place is whack. I said, the dudes were looking at you like, what's going on? He's not fighting back. He's not trying to do shit. I was like, we just walked out. And that was it. But I remember I was living in Cincinnati at the time, so I drove up to Detroit for this show. Driving back the next day, I stopped and got an orange juice, and I took a sip of that orange juice, and I didn't feel anything wrong with my head and face, but the adrenaline's going. You know, you don't feel nothing until you go to bed. You wake up the next day, and I was like, man, I'm kind of sore. And then I took a drink of that orange juice, and somehow they must have caught my lip a little bit because there was a small slit. And that acid hit my lip. And I was like, you motherfuckers. Now I want to go back and find them. And then I did have a knot. I had a knot on my head up here somewhere. But I tell that story in Detroit every time. Not every time, but most times when I go back and perform. And then people were like, I didn't know what the club was called. By me telling the story, people told me it was called Lyceum. And then people said when I told them what year, they're like, hey, it got a little rowdy back then. And it was just funny. So I always wonder, like, when I go back to Detroit, there's literally, like, probably 3 girls and 3 dudes talking about, we whooped Gary Owen's ass in Lyceum. And I'm like, you really didn't? I mean, you hit me a couple times, but that's not really ass whooping. But so I don't, between the beer bottle hit me in the head and Detroit, I could take a punch. If nothing else, this dome could take some shit. You know what I mean? If I'd have been a football player, I don't think I would ever got CTE. My head's too hard. Boom. All right, y'all. So anyways, I really hope this girl, Kaylee, comes through. But just let that, I don't want to be the guy that's trying to teach people life lessons, but just remember, man, these fights, they're just not worth it in the end. Because right now, these 2 girls met up to fight after school. One's in critical condition, so she's never going to be the same after this. I mean, hopefully she'll come out of it, but as far as like mentally, this is going to stick with her for a long time. And then and the girl that knocked her out, you know, they're talking about prosecuting her over a fight. So it's not good in the end. Everybody loses. And I know sometimes, like, even adults, man, the spur of moment, you don't want to be disrespected. How dare you? I'm like, dude, it ain't worth it. Next morning you wake up, you don't give a shit. I don't care. I'll walk away. I did a joke on one of my specials, like, I got people trying to be my bodyguard all the time, and I was like, I don't even know if you can fight or not. I ain't know your 40 time. You got to be faster than me, because if shit pops off, I'm out. I'm running. So you got to be at the car for it. I can't be waiting on you at the car. So it's not worth it in the end. You know, I don't care if somebody calls me whatever name, whatever, I'll just walk away. All right, I'm out. Because the next morning, when I'm eating breakfast, I ain't thinking about that dude at all. I'm just enjoying my waffles, gluten-free. That's all I'm doing. All right, y'all. Anyways, Phoenix, Arizona, this weekend, Stand Up Live. And then next week, Raleigh, North Carolina. And then ending the March with that one mailman. Me and him are going to be at the Wichita, Kansas on March 29th and Evansville, Indiana on March 30th. Evansville's Victory Theater, and Wichita is the Century 2 or 11. I don't know. It's 2 lines after Century. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.